Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Atom boys, give it a gun. Down we dive, spouting our flame from under. Off with one terrible roar. We live in flame, or go down in flame. Hey, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. Over hill, over dell, we have hit the dusty trail, and those caissons go rolling along. Counter march right about, hear those wagon soldiers shout, while those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high here in the field artillery. Call off your numbers, but it's strong. 2, 3, 4, and where we go, you will always know that those caissons are rolling along. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day, 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 day. Through our last night on shore, anchors away. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, I shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame, our glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die, I Coast Guard, we are for you. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
Room 10 Hut! You're listening to MilitaryChatRadio.com.
Good afternoon and welcome. Unfortunately, today my co-host Carrie is not with me. She's still up under the weather, and we wish her the best. Again, today we have some sad news that we've lost some more soldiers, and we lost a 31-year-old Army sergeant by the name of Richard Seha, and he's
Mic check.
He's from the area, and that's here in the Florida area. Okay. Is that better? Yes. Okay.
Sorry about that, everybody. Just had a little mic difficulty there.
Okay.
All right, you're good now. Sorry.
All right. As I was saying a little earlier, we lost another soldier, and that's a 31-year-old Army Sergeant, Ricardo Seha, and he'll be having his funeral tomorrow in the Florida area. And then there's 23-year-old Specialist Clarence Williams III, and his funeral will be Saturday. It's unfortunate that life, as we know it, comes to an end to a lot of people who were in the military at such a young age over the years and decades because they give it up for this country. They give it up for me, they give it up for you, and for your families because we believe in what we do. When we put on that uniform, there is no, well, I'll think about it. Get back to me. It's yes. And which way? And that's all that we do. We put it on, we give it up, and there's no, let me think about it. And people just don't realize that. When you're in the military, you make a commitment to God and your country. You know, you just say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Okay? You say, this is how I am going to look at life. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do something. And we don't really think about all the politics involved in anything or anything else. We just go out there and we do our jobs, whatever that job may be in the military. And it doesn't matter which branch it's in, we go out and we do it. There are people who fly, there are people who lob artillery. There are people who do so many different jobs, and they just do it with the best ability that they can. And unfortunately, for some, it's a job that they just don't walk away from. And when we lose someone, it affects us all. And there's been so many people who have lost their lives, but these are the people who have kept us free and who have died for America, to keep America as it is right now today, as so many other people have kept America the way it is over the years. And freedom, of course, is not free. And it's a lesson that we learn every day. It's a painful lesson, and it hurts, because when you lose someone that you love, it hurts. I don't care what anyone says, it hurts. And, you know, a lot of times we look at things and we say that's unfortunate. But if it's someone that's close to you, it hurts. So our hearts go out to those who always lose someone. And we just hope that those people can be proud of those who have given up their lives for their country, because they are heroes. And they go amongst the rest of the heroes. And we thank you very much for their patriotism. Today, I'd also like to let you know that we've done a whole lot of things in this country that we should be very proud of, you know. Hey, we've seen another 4th of July go by, and we've seen so many people who've been able to enjoy all these things that we've done also. So, you know, be happy at the same time. You know, we look at life and we take it all for granted, but remember, hey, we've paid for it, and it's good to be an American. It's good to be free. It's good to say, hey, here, I'm right here in the U.S. because, well, it's a great place to be. And these are all the things that we have benefited from by being in the service. And if you've been here, and if you're just getting here, or you're about to leave, you know doggone well that it's been Not the easiest thing in the world to do, because it's no longer that service that a lot of us knew when we first came in, where you could come in and do 20 and get out and say, okay, it was easy. It's hard to stay in these days. You really have to work at it. You just can't sit there. If you sit there, then you're not going to make it through. You really have to work to get out of the military these days. And when I say work to get out, that means you got to really work to stay abreast of everything. They just don't let you sit there and say, well, I'll sit around and I'll just kind of like shuffle my feet and do my 20. And everybody who knows that these days when you get ready to get out, you have to have accomplished something. You had to be in there working to get where you are today. Nobody lets you sit there. Okay, so when you finish your 20 years in the military, you've earned it. You didn't sit there just looking at the world pass you by. You were out there doing something to keep yourself in the condition that you're in, to keep yourself motivated, keep yourself sharp, and you had to be educated. You didn't sit there, and that's the one thing the military is always looking at. How well are you educated these days? What did you do with yourself? Okay, and we all know it's about being the most proficient individual that you can be. You cannot sit there and say, well, I started out as a person with very little education or whatever, and that's the way I stayed for 20 years. Because if you did, I'm sure you didn't stay very long. You stayed for a couple of years and you had to get out. There are guys going around right now. I just ran into a recruiter from the National Guard that's working on his doctorate. He's an E7. And he's saying, you know what? Hey, listen, I'm working at, my doctorate. And I was really kind of taken back because I was saying, gee, that's really wow. Here's a guy, E7, who's working on his doctorate. He's trying to become a PhD. And that's a whole lot. That's telling me that there are guys out there who are working that hard to get their education so that they can continue to march, continue to make it and go as far as he can go. And hey, at one time, the only people who were working that hard was the guy who was trying to become a general. And we love it when people work that hard to just become an enlisted person, because you never heard of it like that before. But today, we're all striving for perfection, actually. We're just striving to go as far as we can in life. And in the military, we know that it's no longer just to stick there and to be whatever you can be and do it the easiest way possible. You really got to work very hard. Right now, we're going to take a slight break, and we'll be back. And if you're thinking about calling in, that number is 727-597-4022. This is the Al Young Show. We'll take a small break.
For every day to keep our freedom alive. Salute the flag instead. The freedom we enjoy is held within their hands. Their life is on the line. Their family and their friends, they leave them all behind. They give with all their might. The men and women who serve our shining light. They are warriors. Keep our freedom alive. Salute the flag instead. Freedom we enjoy is held within their hands. Their life is on the line. The family and their friends, they leave them all behind. They give with all their might. The men and women who serve our shining light. They are the men and women who strive to keep our nation strong. We honor family members who are left behind to carry on. May we never forget the prisoner of war, missing in action and killed in action. God bless our retired veterans, and God bless the USA. Through the struggle and fight to survive, they keep freedom alive. They march into foreign lands with liberty in their hands. Now thank the soldier today. Now bless the soldier today.
All right, Bram, we're back. Well, listen, quick question for you. You ever stop to think about whenever you're out there, all the things that you've done in your life, and, you know, we serve, we do our little thing, and then at the end of it all, we say, gosh, you know, if I had my chance, what would I have done? Would I have done the same thing all over, or would I have done something else? You know, and then you look at, well, what's my benefits like? You know, do I have great benefits, or does someone else's benefit package look a lot better than what I have? And I look back, and since I've gotten out of the military, you know, I've taken advantage of a lot of things that the military has to offer. Matter of fact, everything that they come up with, I've just about used. Education, my family's used the education, the medical, and I bought a house. I've used the GI Bill. You know, you name it, I've used it. So I can't think of anything I haven't really gotten into right now. And I compare it to a lot of other companies, and to be frank with you, I don't think you can beat it. Or it's comparable to the larger companies out there if you really go penny for penny. And it's really a great way to go. But then you have to kind of look at it and say to yourself, well, what would I do again? And I think I'd probably still go the same way, unless somebody was offering me a six-figure salary or something even higher. But it's a great way, and you can't really go wrong. So you ask yourself, what would you do if you had to do it all over again? Of course, the higher you go up in rank, the more money you're going to make. And, of course, but the basics with the benefits are almost the same across the board, except for salary and money-wise. Of course, the higher you go, of course, more money you're going to make in certain areas. But other than that, you can't beat the benefits. And again, if you'd like to call in, remember the number is 727-597-4022. We'd love to hear from you. And we'd like to get some of your comments, because we would love to know how other people are thinking about, hey, what have you experienced? What do you think? And that's one of the things about internet radio. It's a new gender, and it's something that people haven't really caught on to a whole lot, but they are. And when it grows, just like anything else, you'll be surprised at what's going to be happening. Some people are saying, oh, internet radio, how does that work? It works very well. You'll be surprised. I'm like everyone else. I'm just getting used to it, but it's really a great way to go, because if you don't look at the show now and you can't catch it now, you can always look at it later on, and you can always look and hear, and that's an interesting part about it. It's always there. You can always see it. And regular radio, you can only listen to it right then and there unless you record it. Internet radio, it's always there. It's in your face. And anytime you want to go back and look at something, you can go back and look at it. So if you say, well, I missed it, I can always go back and look at it and listen to things. And if I want to make a comment, I can always go back and make my little comments and say, okay, there you are. So, okay, and, these are one of the things that we do. Well, I have a guest, and the young man's name is Mr. Al Overend, and he was formerly in the Army, and he switched over to the Air Force. And right now, I'd like to bring him on board. Al, are you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's great having you on board. So, tell me a little bit about yourself now. You, like I said, you were in the Army, and then you went to the Air Force. And
that's correct.
Okay. So how long did you stay with the Air Force?
Well, I'm currently still serving in the Air National Guard.
Okay.
Based out of Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
And I've got a couple more years left with them. Prior to that, I joined the Army in 1983. So I appreciate your comment about being a young man.
Well, you're a young man.
Absolutely.
We're as young as we feel, right?
That's right. You got that right.
So, what's your MOS?
Oh, go ahead.
What is your MOS in the Air Force right now? What do you do?
Security forces. It's military police.
Okay. And what's your rank do you hold right now?
Staff Sergeant, E5.
Okay. So do you enjoy what you do?
I do. It's a great opportunity as far as education-wise. I know in New York State, as a member of the Air National Guard, you're actually compensated for your education. So, you have to maintain a B average or above. And basically the military pays for it, and it's just outstanding. I have a lot of younger guys that I talk to that are, interested in, going into the military, interested in, going full-time or active duty, and a lot of them go in for the education. So, the Air Guard's a good opportunity for them.
Well, I used to be a recruiter for 13 years, and listen, when you look at the military is basically saying to people, come on in and let us help educate you. And they're not looking for guys who are not looking to move up in life. They're looking for people who want to be educated. So they throw it out there to you. Listen, we'll send you off to school. We'll help pay for your education. All you got to do is take advantage of it. And with education being so expensive, this is a great way to go. So the military is willing to really take care of people. And then the other thing is, to be frank with you, the military is not looking for people who can't handle it, because we're in a highly technological society these days. And if you can't handle technology, then you really can't really handle the military.
That's correct. And you got to be versatile and, roll along with the technological advances as well. I look back from 1983 when I first enlisted into the Army, and I look at the advances that they have today, and I had to re-educate myself and go back to school and, just to stay up with the times. And it's very vital in this day and age, and to, look in civilian employment. And I can 100% say that education, that military experience is, vital to what I do now in the civilian sector as far as security solutions. And, it's outstanding. It really was.
That was the same thing that I kind of ran into also. Well, for me, when I got out, it was kind of a different story. But I would have used what I had to get employment had I fell into that type of a situation. I came in as a person who I really didn't have a skill. I was doing some bookkeeping and some other things. Then I got into the intelligence field. And once I got into the intelligence field, then I became a 96 Delta, which was the imagery analyst. And,
yes.
There's always a need for that type of individual. So I kind of figured my life was set at that point. But it's good to know that the military is always there. So now it's going to be, a couple of more years before you really get out?
Yes, I have about 4 more years, and then I'll have my full 20. I had a big break within service, so I did 7 years active duty in the Army.
Okay.
Got out in 1990, went back in for the push for the first Gulf War, and did 3 years with the Army National Guard. And then I was out for about another 5 years, and a recruiter walked into a store that I was working at, and he says, "Hey, this place looks pretty squared away. You got a short haircut. You got to be military." So, before I knew it, I was in taking a physical and signing paperwork and a 6-year contract. So, but the best thing was, the bonuses that they were offering. They offered me a $20,000 bonus for having that. Military occupational skill, and which converted right over to the Air Force. So it was kind of a no-brainer, extra cash. So
did you use the same MOS that you had before?
Yes. Well, I started out as military police on a re-enlistment in 84 to 86. No, from 84 to 88, I went into air defense artillery, and I was on a Chaparral system, pretty much 4 Sidewinder missiles on a rail on rails, and shooting down aircraft, anti-aircraft. And then my last 2 years, I spent time over in Germany and got back into the military policing when the Chaparral system was being eliminated from the Army inventory.
Right.
And just got out and finished my career in Germany for 2 years, and that was it.
Okay. What part of Germany were you located in?
I was in Zweibrücken, down near the French border. It was just south of Ramstein. Yeah, by about 20 kilometers.
Listen, when I first got into the military, would you believe I was stationed in Zweibrücken?
You know what? I look back now and I put two and two together, and with imagery and everything and the mission at the time, I would believe that.
Zweibrücken was Material Command at that particular time.
Yeah, 10th MAS.
It was, I'm going to tell you, Zweibrücken was the place to be. It was sort of like the country club of Europe. It was not like being in the Army. I enjoyed it. I said, my God, I was blessed because it was, I don't know, it was so much like not being in the military. I mean, you got up, you went to your job, and you got off, and you went home. And it was not all that Hup 1, 2, 3 stuff. I loved it. I mean, to me, it was the best place to ever be.
Yes, yeah. The location was just phenomenal. The people in the town.
Oh yeah,
all
they
the
were
adjoining
great.
units as well.
Gosh,
just everyone was down to earth, and you get into your bigger towns and get a little pushback, but everyone was just down to earth. I absolutely loved it there.
Yeah, matter of fact, they kicked me out of Zweibrücken.
Oh no.
Well, when I say I got kicked out of Zweibrücken, it's I kept putting in for transfers, and the guy, the last transfer, not transfer, extensions. The last extension that I had put in for, the PSNCO had PCS back to the States, and my extension was still in his box. And they said, sorry. No. You got like 72 hours to make up your mind what you're going to do. Because actually, I went to get paid, and I wasn't even in the system anymore. So
right. Oh no.
That's when I kind of got out because they couldn't give me what I wanted, so I got out. But it was great. I loved Zweibrücken, and I just thought, I said, well, I've never met anybody else from there, who have been stationed there, and here it is. Isn't that wild?
Yep, most of them were Ramstein and in that area, and I was very fortunate because my ex-wife was in the Air Force Reserves at the time, so she was able to get employment, on Zweibrücken as well. So, and doing OSI administration. So yeah, it worked out good, family-wise. So.
Well, I guess I should tell you something. While I was stationed at Zweibrücken, the wonderful mark was 4 marks to $1. So that tells you how far back that was.
Oh no, the mark rate was still pretty good. It wasn't that good, but it was.
It changed after a little while. Just as I was about to leave, it was starting to change. But when I was there, the majority of the time it was 4 marks to $1, and I was saying, "Oh my gosh, this is really heaven."
Yeah.
So,
I think my.
Go ahead.
I think my most fondest memory of being over there at the time was being part of history when the wall came down.
Oh yes.
It was just a phenomenal era in time, and the Cold. It's like the breaking point of the Cold War, and I know they put a lot of units on alert status, but just talking with the people, and then you started seeing everyone, the mad exodus out of East Germany, into Hungary, and then people coming back over to West Germany, and it was great.
Well, when you think about all the things that as soldiers and being in the military that we're a part of, and that we have such an influence on everything, directly, indirectly, or what have you, it makes you feel good, because you know that if it were not for just us being there and just being a part of history always in one way or another, that none of these things would ever happen.
Right.
Because, it's life changes, and we're all a part of it. And in our lifetime, we've seen so many things happen, so many changes. And you just say, thank God that they happen. That you're alive to see them happen.
Right. And I think, I'm going to be honest and upfront. I don't think media really covers a lot of the behind the scenes and a lot of the humanitarian missions that we do. There's a lot of humanitarian missions that the military is involved in. And, Hurricane Mitch, when it came through in 95, and, we're helping countries like, Honduras and you go down there and you see those faces and the people that are just living in deplorable and desolate conditions and just being able to help. And there's nothing more pleasing to, well, I can't speak for every soldier or airman or sailor or Marine, but for myself, I mean, it's the most gratifying thing that I've ever experienced in my whole life, to the point where when I'm bringing my children up, they have returned to those countries on missions trips, through church, and they get a full perspective as to life and helping their fellow man and woman and child. So I think instilling those virtues within the family are important as well. So.
Well, you know what? I think when you kind of look at newspapers or media or anything else, again, their whole thing is, well, what sells? What are people interested in reading sometimes? And is it a special interest article? Is it going to bring X amount of dollars into their pockets? And I think you'd have to look at what are they up to at that particular time that they're doing something.
Right.
There were times that a special article will be of that particular kind of interest story. Other times it's more, well, what are people interested in reading? Are they interested in reading about the bad guys that are out there, or things that are of tragic nature that may be of a different consequence? So what is it going to sell? What are people going to pick up? Are they going to pick up about things that maybe won't sell or won't be of interest to everyone? Or are they going to pick up the things that everybody's going to say, oh, yeah, hey, listen, guy robbed the bank. They're interested in that. They may not be interested in the farmers who are starving or people who are, victims of genocide.
Right. Yeah.
And we, a lot of times as human beings, we're more interested. We're interested in the other side of life. When we're dealing with our families and stuff. And as soldiers, we do, even though we're soldiers, we also are human beings. And we have a whole lot of things that we deal with, and especially when it comes down to families and everything else. We want to bring that side of ourselves out. We have a lot that we do.
Right. And it's a well-balanced, it's a unique life. Military life is very unique because you're trying to balance your family and the mission and the time away from family, and your family while you're away is trying to balance their lives without you. And at the same time, our personal opinions and views and political views or personal views are set aside. We take that oath, to uphold the Constitution of the United States and, support our Commander-in-Chief. And that's what we do. So, you look at mission, you look at, your personal opinion on things, and you take that oath and you do what you have to do and take care of your family at the same time. And it takes balance.
Well, we have to be very careful because as soldiers, the one thing that we always have to be very careful about is that we don't say anything that offends or anything that would make our commanders or the people who are above us upset. You know, that's one thing I think that I always worried about is that, okay, I always have to watch what I say, you know, as a recruiter, as a soldier, period. What was my conduct once I put on that uniform? And then when I was out of that uniform, as long as I was a soldier, I always had to worry about what I did because you could not bring embarrassment to the U.S. government. And I think every soldier worries about that regardless of what, because we know that we're bound by certain regulations and rules. But, you know, when you put on that uniform, you represent the government, you represent the United States, and everyone knows who you are. So whatever you do, they see you, you know. They know exactly who you are. And it doesn't matter what branch of the service you are. They know a sailor. They know an airman. You know. They know a Marine. They know them all. And if you're in, you know, people say, hey, listen, okay, there's a uniform there. Is that guy in the Coast Guard? They know them all. You know, so it's a thing.
It's funny, you know, I was standing in a bank the other day to, you know, to make a deposit, and, you know, this young girl behind me had been like 15 or 16 years old. And she says, well, you're either a cop or military. And I just kind of looked at her and smiled, and I said, how about both, you know? And she's like, huh? I said, yeah, military police. And she's like, oh, okay. But you're right. It's that image, the stature that you're holding when you're standing there. It's, you know, they know, and you're correct.
You know, and they hold you to a high stature. You know, you have to always be that guy that's accountable for your actions. And, you know, people say, okay, listen, we kind of put you on a pedestal. And if you slip off of that pedestal, believe me, they're looking, and oh boy, they know. And it's funny. You know, I think the image, like before, you know, whoa, the drunkenness or that or whatever, it's gone. You just can't go out there and be like, you know, you used to see in the motion pictures, the drunken sailors when they go in the port or whatever. No, you just, it's no longer that anymore. I mean, you know, or the bar fights with all the different services. Those are, you know, it was good when it was in the movies and stuff or what have you, and, you know, people just took it for granted. But you better not even think about being like that.
Right. And that's another thing that I noticed. I'm glad you brought that up because, you know, over the years, and I'm looking back in my military career, and as it progressed, you know, when you said the differences between services, you really don't see that anymore because you've got, you know, TACP, Tactical Air Control Party guys rolling with the Army, calling in airstrikes when things get bad. You know, the Air Force is transporting, you know, troops, whether they're Marines in a helicopter, and you know, Navy linguists, or, you know, right out there in the front of on the front lines, and you just don't see that anymore. It's, you know, everyone works together. You have the same mission. You complete that mission, and looking back, you know, I remember as a member of the Army, you know, the term wingnut, you know, in reference to an airman, you know, was common. And you know, the armies were grunts, and, you know, Marines, jarheads, you know, and squids and this and that. And, you know, but everyone is just, I can't tell you, just the camaraderie nowadays, and you know, working with other branches of service, just, you know, it's, we're all proud of our individual, you know, service that we serve in, you know, but we also get along as well. And, you know, you have your few that want to ponder back to that mindset, and you know, every once in a while. But you know, for the majority and most part, man, we're all in this together. So
Well, if you notice that even when we go off to schools, a lot of the schools are integrated in the sense that you have more than one service going to the same school to learn
Yes,
the
that's
same
correct.
job.
Yeah.
And as an
Yep.
imagery
Yeah.
analyst, we would go to school with different branches of the service, or either you'd work with different branches of the service.
Mm-hmm.
If you go out to MacDill Air Force Base, look at all the different services that will work together in their different fields. I mean, you got Air Force, Navy. You got Marine guys out there. You got Army guys out there. You got all those different branches of services working at that one base, and they're all doing
Yeah.
the same thing. So it's like you're saying, they're all out there, and of course, you got guys. It's like your own family. You got brothers and sisters, and you may have one brother or you may have one sister who just has to be that dominant figure, or and you're saying everybody else is whatever, but you just have to be the boss, or
Right.
and you just look at them and say, okay, that's you. What are we gonna do with you, and it's that
You refer
way.
to them as short timers.
Yeah. So, but you just kind of know that, hey, past that one little aspect about them, everything is the same, and wherever you go, that you still got that person's back, and they've got your back, because we're all on the same team, we're after the same
Yes.
thing, and when it comes down to it, hey, it's the same. It's the same wherever you go. These guys go into combat together. They do so many things where, hey, listen, well, now it's not where in years before no one knew what was going on with the other service. People got smart.
Right.
They started saying, you know what, there's too much that's going on that one side doesn't know what the other side's doing. And, they just start saying, okay, let's start working it out. As a recruiter, there was a time when all the different services had different forms. When you got to the processing center, MEPS, the Marines had forms, the Air Force had forms. Then somebody got smart and said, you know what, let's make it all one form. So everybody was on the same
Yep.
page. So you didn't have all these different forms all over the place. So they just started getting smarter and smarter, and then people started looking at the fact that, hey, we're not going to make it so confusing. We're just going to make it easy for everyone. And that's what they did.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing today.
Yep.
And I think that's when you start looking at how do we make life easier and simpler. And at the same time, we're looking for people who are thinking about how do we make life simpler? How do we make people think? And I think that's one thing about the military is they don't want people who are bumps on the log. They want people who can think. And I think that's the one thing about our military. They don't want people who can't think. They want thinkers, people who can be
Right.
independent, who can take a situation and handle it instead of saying, well, what do I do next?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yep.
where we've gotten all these people from that go out there and they become leaders. I don't think we've ever wanted people who were just followers, because a group of followers always have to have a leader someplace, but we've always tried to create leaders,
Right.
and I think that's the most important thing. I think in a lot of services or a lot of different countries, their thing is, okay, we got a leader group and we got a bunch of followers. And I think in the United States it's always been, hey, everybody can be a leader. So this is how you get to be a leader. This is what you need to do. And this is why, when you look at coming in, they're saying, hey, we want to educate everybody. And you don't want to educate somebody who you're potentially looking at this individual not being of any value to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have
Yeah,
kids.
that's one thing that I've noticed in coming to a close in my career, military career, is the offers of leadership schools. They have. I know Army had PLDC.
Right.
And wow, I just something just came into my head. PLDC I did in Baumholder, Germany. I don't know if you remember Ray Mercer, the Olympic boxer.
Right.
Yeah, he was in my PLDC class
Really?
over there in Baumholder, Germany. So yeah, just a little extra tidbit there. And I could tell you when it came to leadership, no one messed with him. We did what he said. So we kept it simple. When he said, okay, land navigation, you take point? Okay, yes, sir. Oh, no. But anyways, you look at the, to advance in rank, you have to go to a leadership school. Before you're promoted to an NCO, you take that leadership course, whether it's PLDC or 5-level in the Air Force, or because that's what they're doing. They're grooming leaders to take charge and lead.
And I think it's always worked, and it's been proven, and they haven't stopped, and they're going to continue to do that, and it's always going to be that way.
Yes.
So, I look forward to seeing it, and that's the way I've always looked at the military. And you know what? I think from now on and until the end of time, we're going to have a military that's going to continue on with its traditions. And thank God for the way things have been going and the way they will continue to go. And I think the only thing that's going to ever happen is that the military is going to always be as strong as it is, and it's only going to get better and better and better, and it's funny, you always see a little Star Wars something, and then one day you look up and there it is. It's it's really happening.
Right.
You could see it, like they'll advertise something, and then one day there it is. It's really happening. It's like stealth technology was something that nobody really thought was going to ever happen, and then one day there it is. When you look back and you look at what was it, Jules Verne's, and there it was, the submarine. Next thing you know, there it was. So it's always something that we look at and people go, that's just something that's not. And, well, if you really kind of go back, think about it. Laser technology. Remember, they were always saying, "Oh, that's space, whatever. That's space technology." And yeah, spacemen have laser guns. We have laser guns and everything. I mean, it's just going. And if you see it today, then you could bet tomorrow it comes up.
Right.
And it's always right there, and we're right there with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I always kind of say that, well, if one thing you can really count on is our government always equipping its soldiers with the best technology in the world. And that's one thing for sure.
Yeah, it amazed me. You have Material Command that will take even right down to the material that they use for clothing.
Sure.
Or outer garments and cold weather. It's just you look back to the mid 1980s, and we're wearing these plastic rubber raincoats, and now you have Gore-Tex.
Yes.
It's just even the advancements in uniforms and things, and not to mention you went with the map and compass. And now you have GPS and some other things that I'm not allowed to talk about. So,
Oh yeah.
but, to pinpoint your location, you know where you are all the time. So,
Listen,
but thank goodness they still, as good as technology is, when that unit goes down, they still teach you how to read a map and find out and give you the ability to navigate and use a map and find out where you're at and where you need to go. So,
listen, you have to always appreciate that. And I mean, a lot of times, you say to yourself, well, if anything goes out, hopefully you know how to do it the hard way. But I will say this. I went from a slide rule and a light table and an eyepiece when I first went into being an imagery analyst. Now, just think everything is totally computerized and it's so easy. You push a couple of buttons here and there and do a couple of little things and it's all done, right. Before, it took a little work. But you can appreciate it. And then you just say X amount of years pass by and you've gone from, doing it one way to now, it's just done for you almost. And you can appreciate it. But the one thing about the military is the military just doesn't say you're a soldier and things have been the same way for years. The military has changed so much. And, I am just so happy. And you know what, Al? I'm glad you called. And, I've really enjoyed talking to you. This has been wonderful. And thank you for sharing your time and what you've been doing, and what you really being in Swibrook, and that's really fantastic. I have not spoken to anyone else from Swibrook since I left there.
No kidding. Well, it wasn't a very big base, but it was very important.
Listen,
given the mission at the time, it was.
Listen. Swibrook, and I was always kind of glad it wasn't very big because, it made it feel that much more important to me because when I was there, it was like a little country club, I kept saying to myself, gee, this is great because at the time, real quickly, at the time I was there, it was basically, there were more officers than it was enlisted. And it was kind of okay, This was a place where you didn't find all of that crazy stuff going on. We were there to do our little job, and everything was top heavy. So it was kind of a really wonderful place.
Yeah, and looking back, we had our facility right there on the base, even though we were Army. And we actually did the air defense for that base back then. And, now that you mention that, I remember a few days where my arm was about ready to fall off because we go eat lunch at the bowling alley, as did everyone else on the base. And our arms are falling off from saluting so much, walking on the way back to our facility. And, so I could see that looking back, yes.
Yeah, it was a great place. And like I said, I loved it when I first got there because I got to travel all over the place. I was not a drinker, so I never really hung out the club. I just traveled and had a fantastic time. I said, everybody else hang out the club. I'm hanging out on the bus tours and everything else. So I was very grateful to American Express for all the tours that they had going. And,
the military was great with that, with the ITT trips, and they still do that today. And I remember balancing out my decision. Do I buy the newest Nintendo game box? I remember when Nintendo, the first computer system came out, the gaming system. I said, do I spend $89 on this, or do I spend $89 on a train pass that will take me anywhere in Europe that I want to for a year? Because back then, at the time, you pay one price, and that was your train pass, and you could go anywhere in Europe that you wanted to. So. While everyone else was sitting in the barracks playing their video games, I was asking for 3 and 4 day, leaves to go to Barcelona, Spain, and because everyone else was playing, computer games, no one's taking those 3-day passes or 4-day passes. So,
well,
it was a win. It was a win-win for me.
Well, I'm gonna tell you that the hottest thing going when I was in Germany, real quick, was we didn't even have computer games then. It was 1505 to Nashville, so that tells you something.
Oh no. Oh no.
So I had to learn to convert to something. So anyway, I used to laugh because I was saying, what is this I'm listening to? And then all of a sudden I became a fan of the 1505. I kept saying, I know I'm in trouble now because if I'm converting to listening to the 1505 every afternoon, I'm in trouble.
Oh no. Yeah, I was always amazed the guest houses over there. You go in and relax after a day's work and grab yourself a beer and you can always rely on the old jukeboxes, and it didn't matter what town you went to. Each guest house had the jukebox, and it amazed me how Elvis still lived on within that country, since him being over there.
It was a great time, and I'll never forget it, and it made such an influence in my life. And with me being into history, I got a chance to do something, and I didn't have to pay for it out of my pocket. So
that's right.
It helped me out a whole lot. I brought my mother. I even took my mother over. And, I kept saying, "Oh, this is really good." So she'll never forget it, and it was wonderful. Well, anyway, again, thank you for everything today, and it's been a pleasure. And we'll do it again one day. Hopefully, we can talk again. Well,
absolutely. I look forward to it.
Al, thank you very much for your call today.
Hey, thank you. You have a great day now.
Okay, and the best to you in the rest of your career and you and your family, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, then, Al. Thank you very much again.
Yep.
Have a wonderful day. Okay, bye-bye. Hey, again, this is the Al Young Show, and you've been listening to MilitaryChatRadio.com. And again, if you'd like to call us, the radio telephone number is 727-597-4022. And this is MilitaryChatRadio.com. We'll talk to you next week. Have a nice day.